From around the world come the cars and drivers, lured to Australia and its island state Tasmania for a week-long motoring adventure. An event that's much more than just a car rally. It's the ultimate tourist trophy for all keen enthusiasts. Targa Tasmania ranks with events like the Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race as one of the world's finest challenges. Competitors assemble in Melbourne before boarding the ferry Spirit of Tasmania for a 430-kilometre overnight crossing of Bass Straits. The next morning, Tasmania's first glimpse of this year's stars of the event. Then a short drive to Launceston to prepare for the start. Since 1992, 1,000 cars have toured around the Australian island state of Tasmania in a unique event. This year, 1996, almost 250, valued at $40 million. Cars that are expensive toys, but easy to break.
Stephen, for every pulsating Porsche or lovable Lotus or voracious Valiant or cuddly Cortina, or even juiced-up Jaguars, there's a team of petrol heads who are preening these million-dollar motors. Indeed, the fascination of Targa Tasmania is the crews and the drivers and the passion they feel for these juiced-up conveyances of chrome, steel, plastic, rubber, and a fair amount of spit. So let's meet a few of those competitors. Did all that sophisticated bike riding stuff make you a little technological whiz?
I've always been a bit of a petrol head. Yeah, I've sipped some good fumes in my life.
And I reckon you would have been a bit of an airhead riding a bike through the Pyrenees and down the Champs-Élysées at 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, mate, this is just like one big hairdryer, this machine here. But I don't know if it's going to be as warm as a hairdryer.
So it's a fairly big honour to get to drive $1 million worth of Porsche RS.
Oh yeah, sure, no, I realise that, and of course I will drive, I hope, responsibly enough not to do any damage to it.
What sort of advice has he given you?
Don't go off the road for a start.
Well, John Dixon, you put Dick Johnson off the road. How?
I don't really think I did. I think he went off himself.
Did he? Mm. What happened, Dick?
It was a bad call. He'd never told me. I thought it was for parking, but obviously it was for driving around rather
Dick,
than parking.
I'm feeling a bit thirsty. Can you get us a drink? John, how hard is Targa Tasmania? Thanks,
Drink.
Targa Tasmania is... Mars Bay, yeah. Can you get us a magazine, please, Dick?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a very hard event. It's... by now, we haven't even started, and it feels like day 38 at Targa.
And Steve, does it feel like day 38 for you?
No, I've actually been on holiday, so I feel quite good about it all. John's been doing all the hard work.
Does Dick give you any... Yeah.
And a paper?
Yeah. Dick, can you get us the Examiner?
Oh,
look at this.
Beautiful shape, aren't they? But that's about all.
It's a Dino.
Yeah, it's a nice Dino.
Gee, that'd be nice.
They don't do much. Now, here's the
don't do much.
The Lancia, look at the Lancia.
The
Lancia are far more important than Ferrari.
The Dino doesn't do much.
Dino, have you ever named your child after that name?
No, but Fred Flintstone did.
Did too.
The next 4 days, you nervous?
No, but I will be putting a toilet roll in for the navigator, and I won't be happy if at least once during the event he really, really does think he's going to die. Just once.
OK, you have the right to remain silent. Haven't you always wanted to do this to a policeman? Constable Farrell White, why is a police car in Targa?
Well, basically what we're trying to achieve is to put together a unique entry that is supported in name by the police department and that I suppose we can use to help promote safe driving.
I like shapes of Dinos, but no, they don't do much. No, who's Dino? No one knows. I've lost the plot.
Yeah, we haven't got a roof in.
rains, we're in big trouble.
Gentlemen, in car 1, start your engine. 3, 2, 1, get go!
The field was waved away by Tasmanian and Australian cricket legend David Boone. Targa Tasmania on the road and heading towards Georgetown at the mouth of the Tamar River. It's the scene for the first timed competition or Targa stage. Through the streets, the cars weave. The BHP Temco Prologue is the only competition of the day. It's to decide the starting order for each day, fastest at the rear. Some are impressive for keeping their cars straight, others for making the most of an error. The fast driving comes in the joust between the racing car drivers. Jim Richards versus Neil Bates. One will be the fastest and take the psychological advantage into day 1. Richards and navigator Barry Oliver, whose role is normally behind the announcing microphone at the Australian Touring Car Championship rounds, were fastest by a second over Neil Bates and Coral Taylor in their Toyota Celica.
I think today's far too close to call. I mean, if it's wet the next 5 days, it's not the right car.
It was good. It was extremely close, and hopefully it'll be like that for the next 5 days. But it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
On the Toyota top 10, Richards was on top with an overall time of 3 minutes, 7.5 seconds for the 4.71 kilometre prologue. The leaderboard was a mixture of cars from Europe, Japan and England. With under 20 seconds separating the top 10, the stage was set for one of the tightest competitions in Targa Tasmania's history. That's to come in a dramatic turn in the event. Day 1 of Targa Tasmania 1996 was welcomed by pouring rain.
We're looking forward to it. I'm just staying on the road. But we'll get wet and we'll get a bit of cold, but we will enjoy it, I can assure you. It doesn't worry us, except it gets rather chilly.
Ahead, a 275-kilometre loop starting in Launceston, travelling through the middle north of the state and returning to Launceston. The hills provide an exhilarating drive and introduce competitors gently into a course which becomes more difficult each day. For some, it didn't start out an easy day.
I did a full 360 and then mounted the gutter and came back onto the road, but...
Everyone makes a mistake once.
I made it twice. I took the hay bales out last year at the church. Now I've done this again. I'm not impressed.
Do you think that you should be allowed on this road?
No. No.
And next year you're
Take me home, please.
Hobart's Greg Henry and navigator Damien Moore were the first major casualties. Their Tirana flipped upside down, but Henry's Targa was far from over. Later we'll hear of his remarkable endeavours in an attempt to make it to the finish.
Held together with band-aids or paper clips or sticky tape, we'll get there.
Targa 96 encompassed a reenactment of one of the legendary rivalries of competitive motorsport. Jim Duncan behind the wheel of his 1924 Bentley, lining up against Hobart's John Kennedy in his 1926 Chrysler. It created an historic replay of the late 1920s when the two car manufacturers raced each other at Le Mans.
All the very best, and I hope you have a good run.
Jim bought the Bentley 30 years ago as a rusted pile of badly worn metal. It became his retirement project.
The great thing about Tassie is if you don't like the weather, you can come back 5 minutes later and it'll be worse. It's mid-afternoon, we're at Longford, we've got Jim and Rob.
Fair enough.
How's the weather?
Damn cold.
And you're from some similarly cool place. Where are you from?
Noosa Heads.
Noosa Heads?
Yeah.
Right. And you wouldn't be a boy, would you?
No, I've seen a few years.
How old are you?
77.
And how old's your car?
72.
72?
Yeah.
So the car's only really a pup?
Only a boy.
Yeah. And how's it going around at 77 in an event for young men with big
well,
testicles?
Recapturing some of my youth, but I'm enjoying it tremendously.
We have the same weather as you have.
Yes, this is very Irish, isn't it?
Perfectly at home. No problem whatsoever.
Yeah. Now, Peter, if you and Karen happen to win it, are you going to go round again for a lap of honour?
No, we're going to see if we can hijack the zero alcohol rule and see if there's a pub in town that serves Guinness.
Top clean a stick from the bloke?
Of course we do.
And how
we
do you
don't take
handle
any
it?
notice.
Absolutely, give them back just as much. They probably do more damage
So
than we do.
anything I say about Volvo drivers now and women drivers, you're going to take it in the spirit which is intended?
Of course.
Completely sexist.
Yes, well, we haven't. We've been asked a number of times whether we've got the Labrador in the back and the 2.5 children, but we've left all those at home this time.
3, 2, 1. So who's Rumpole and who is she who must be obeyed?
Have you heard of Hilda? Rumpole's a Bailey. That's his wife who's in the background. Well, that's me. It's the only time in my life I ever have to get any, or even take the notice of what I say. If I say left, he goes left.
5 days a year is plenty.
Robbie, Volvo drivers, the best?
Oh, of course we are. Of course we are.
So what happened down here?
Oh, I was hoping you weren't going to see that.
No, I can't. Oh, actually, sorry.
Oh,
what happened?
You're damaging it.
Sorry.
Well, I just lost it a little bit this morning. That's all. Yes, changing gear.
And
It's a very nasty sort of wet road.
Was it?
We'd like to say
Your
that.
responsibility or hers?
Well, at Robin's responsibility, I was navigating that particular stage.
Is it safe to do it with your wife? I mean, drive the cars in Targa.
This is our 4th Targa, and I've always been his navigator, and our marriage is still intact after 4 goes, so it can't be too bad.
Will your marriage survive another Targa?
Another interview after the race and we'll let you know. It's just been a good time. But the best part about it, once again, is just seeing the people around the place, like at Georgetown yesterday and at Lonnie.
Friendly
it's just
people.
fantastic. Oh, they're great. And the countryside's superb. So we're looking forward to a good Targa.
Thanks very much, Bob Edwards.
Pleasure.
The conditions tested the sense of humour.
We had a lake at the bottom of the car. Every time we braked, there was all the water coming forward and back. We could have fish in the bottom here.
At Paluna, Hobart car dealer John Pooley and Pip Welsh went off and badly bent their late model Porsche Carrera. On the same stage, Jeffrey and Robert Everett had a similar Porsche experience to forget. Later at Deloraine, one of the front-runners, Les Walkden and Ron Coonan, in a late model Mazda RX-7, clipped a tree and their event was over. In the battle for Day 1 honours, the Neil Bates and Jim Richards struggle raged on the open, twisting roads. At the lunch break, Bates revealed a problem.
They're looking at a problem at the moment. We've got a problem with a sensor and it's not running 100%, so they're just tapping in that and see if they can rectify it.
The day finished with a Targa stage around the houses at Longford. On the Toyota Top 10, Jim Richards and Barry Oliver were in first place, and the Bates and Taylor electrical problem didn't appear to have affected them too badly. 8 seconds down in third place, Stephen Johnson and John Dixon. Glenn Ridge was in 8th place. Along with the battles for overall places, Targa Tasmania is as much about winning one of the 9 categories, which are based on the age and performance of cars. No one is left out of having a chance to take some glory. There's even an outright on handicap title. It is possible that a modestly priced car can compete favourably with an expensive supercar for handicap honours. In 1995, Ross and Ruth Williams won driving a tiny Elfin Clubman.
Challenge the king.
I'll take you on.
Then why don't you just beat them?
I kicked his butt all over the place.
Partners, 8 o'clock Wednesday after Grace.
Neil Bates, Coral Taylor and Toyota have been a formidable force in Australian rallying, winning 3 national championships. The battle with the bitumen and Targa, another challenge that's more than just another drive. Despite its short life, the event has developed character and respect. In 1994, Bates and Taylor hung their heads low in sight of the finish and overall victory. Their disappointment poured onto the road as a Hold radiator ended their first Targa Tasmania. It was on a cool autumn day the following year that they won. They came back in 1996 on another mission. And at the start of day 2, Bates and Taylor were proving that if they were to be beaten, it would take an exceptional effort or bad luck. Targa Tasmania continues to increase its image internationally. The 1996 overseas contingent was led by Germany's former Formula 1 driver and world sports car champion Jochen Mass, who had renowned motor racing journalist Jeff Hutchinson as his trusty navigator. Their mount a real gem. Porsche made available from its Stuttgart museum the valuable racing sports car, the 1960 RS60 Spider. Valued at $1 million, give or take a few thousand, even said to be priceless because it's simply not for sale. 36 years earlier, this Porsche won the Targa Florio road race in Sicily, Italy. That's one of the events Targa Tasmania is modelled on. That year, the Spider also won the Sebring 12-hour race in the United States. Targa Tasmania put on the road a perfect contrast between a thoroughbred machine of the past with the latest release in the hands of Jim Richards. It's the start of day 2 of Targa 96, and these spectators have got the right idea. They've got the open fire to keep them warm. They've even got the billy tea on, and they're cooking toasted marshmallows. This morning, though, we found a couple of competitors who were looking for some snow. They were Jeff Denmead from the United States and his Alaskan navigator Gordon Satch Carlson, 2 fearless ice racers back home.
Trying our sideways technique, so we're looking forward to the sidling.
Day 2 is a 448-kilometre run from Launceston down the east coast to Hobart. The morning stages involve some of the most challenging roads of the event over magnificent passes in the northeast. Completing the opening 2 competitive stages in the dry, the rains came in bucket loads.
Extremely slippery. The rain has been, like wet roads are probably fine, but it's just been torrential downpours. It's been extremely difficult and very hard work.
And that was evident from inside Neil Bates' Toyota Celica. Touring car race Jim Richards described the conditions as among the worst he has driven in.
Sometimes we could hardly see out the windscreen. The wipers are going, you know, like on the fast. So, yeah, this is as wet as I've seen it around the road, that's for sure.
The weather created an opportunity for Stephen Johnson to take the lead. Navigator John Dixon was elated at the performance.
I've had some good rides with his old man. Across Arrowsmith comes to mind, but this was far better than anything like that. Unbelievable, I tell you.
And you're in the lead as well, which must be great.
According to Neil, we've picked up a fair bit of time on him and T and Jim, which would put us in the lead, but until the results come out, who knows?
Conditions in the afternoon were the worst experienced in the 5-year history of Targa Tasmania. An underwater challenge. Instead of sunblock, a bailing bucket was needed in the open-top cars as visibility was poor.
For a little while, the house has been flooded and they're bringing some sandbags. So.
The house has been flooded?
Yeah, so they're stopping for that.
Will they bring some sandbags for us? You want to take a look in here? We've got fish in the bottom.
The East Coast has provided the event with some glorious weather. First-timers to this year's event missed out on the spectacular scenery of the East Coast. The afternoon stages included Triabana, a dash around the houses. Johnson and Dixon accumulated penalty time over the minimum times for all the Targa stages so far of 3 minutes and 52 seconds. Bates and Taylor were 1 minute and 26 seconds behind, with a further 18 seconds to Richards and Oliver. Dropping out of the top 10 was the experienced motor racing driver Peter Fitzgerald, while the Japanese couple of Wakiro and Mariko Kobayashi moved into the top 10. The surprises of Vaughan Guthrie and Stephen Mills from Tasmania's northwest coast, and Victorian Warwick Fremantle and Sam Davis in a Toyota Celica GT4 Group A were mixing it with the professionals in 10th place. It was a day when volunteering to be a Targa Tasmania official took on a new meaning. Commitment in the dictionary could show a picture of a Targa volunteer. For many of the volunteers, it's their way of being involved in the event while not being able to compete themselves. On this day, it was a matter of get very wet and feel like a drowned rat. The volunteer movement is like a small army. It takes 2,500 officials, most volunteers, to keep Targa Tasmania moving.
That's why we're working for you. We're working for you. Southern Cross is working for you. Working for you. We're working for you. Southern Cross is working for you.
It will become sunny today, I believe. The rain is stopping now. It will be okay.
And you welcome the sun?
Yes, I welcome.
But he was wrong. Day 3 of Targa Tasmania produced another soaking. But the weather didn't bother one of Australia's fastest females. Sharon McKay is an old hand at motorsport. She is the Australian women's land speed record holder in a non-jet propelled machine. The mother of 2 and freelance journalist was teamed with Michelle Murphy in a Toyota Celica in their 3rd Targa Tasmania.
I'll have to say that the first one was the toughest because of the car we were in. Now that we've had the Celica for the last 2 years, it gives me a lot more confidence. I feel a lot more comfortable driving the Celica.
An all-female team. Good luck in their Toyota.
Day 3 of Targa Tasmania 1996, the Southern Sprint, a loop of 189 kilometres from Hobart through the Channel region and Huon Valley. The day appears quite easy at a glance, but is very intensive, with only short touring legs between the Targa stages. Stephen Johnson began the day where he left off from day 2. He achieved the fastest times on the Oyster Cove and Woodbridge Targa stages, despite the water on the road, which made driving more like a ride in a speedboat. The drama of day 3 really unfolded here at the end of the Signet Targa stage. The event leader, Steve Johnson, crashed his RX-7 right at the end of the stage.
Didn't even turn the corner, went straight ahead. Pretty disappointing. Yeah, well, you know, we're okay. I guess them's the brakes, eh?
From overnight leaders to being the talk of day 3 for all the wrong reasons. The car could not be fixed. It was a bleak end because Johnson's brilliant run was a highlight of the event so far. Neil Bates and Coral Taylor inherited the lead. They seem to have fixed their misfiring problem, linked to a blocked fuel tank breather. '96 wasn't the only time when day 3 of Targa Tasmania provided some of the event's biggest drama. In an amazing turn of fortunes, 1996 saw Wakayuro and Ruriko Kobayashi put behind their fire dramas of a year earlier, and they were running in 6th place, hoping to keep on the road for the final 2 days. Jochen Maas and Jeff Hutchinson were having a damp ride, but they were the handicap leaders in the rare Porsche Spider. Plus a new inclusion to the top handicap contenders were Robert White and Angus MacLeod of Hobart in their 1965 Sunbeam Tiger, and Rumpole and She Who Must Be Obeyed, Rex and Lynn Carr, had an off on the Woodbridge stage. Since Targa Tasmania first took to the road in 1992, many spectators have developed a pilgrimage to their favourite spot, and drivers know that when they come to a particular part of the course, they will see familiar smiling faces and arms and hands waving.
That's a beautiful car. Mr. Yap said, this is the Ferrari. I said, I like that.
After the Johnson misfortune, Bates and Taylor's lead at the end of day 3 was 1 minute and 17 seconds to Richards and Oliver, with Guy Beddington and Patrick Mewing third. The top 10 continued to shape itself, with the early pace setters continuing to shuffle themselves around, while newcomers elbowed their way towards the top. And there was no escaping the chase of the police. Tasmania police officers Farrell White and Nick Watchorn in their police car were up to 8th place. Tasmanian Vaughan Guthrie, who finished the day in 8th place, had an excursion on the wild side at the final stage of the day, Ridgeway Park. On handicap time, Jochen Mass and Jeff Hutchinson led by a massive 2 minutes and 11 seconds from Robert White and Angus MacLeod. Third place was held by Tony Benetto and Richard Dutton, a further minute behind. The handicap top 10 contained a wide range of cars, reflecting the depth of automotive history that sweeps through the Targa Tasmania field. From the United States, the V8 Mitre to the Ford Mustang. From England, the sleek lines of a Jaguar or an Austin Healey. From Italy, the liveliness of an Alfa Romeo. And from down under, the Ford Falcon GTHO, a car that once graced the racetracks of Australia in the mid-70s as state-of-the-art in sports touring.
Pavarotti. O sole mio, o mi canto. That's quite enough.
Targa Tasmania can have a dreadful effect on normally sane people, and this has been one of them.
The Domain on the outskirts of the Hobart city centre, the start of day 4 and the beginning of a long 2-day trek from one end of the island and back to the finish. Day 4 will set up overall victory and establish the category winners. A quick blast around the Domain and then a cruise through the Midlands before afternoon Targa stages that competitors rave about and describe the roads as among the best in the world for spirited competition. The Midlands Drive provides a chance to catch up with another of the star cars of the events. This rare classic is from Switzerland, a superb 1954 Lancia D24 sports racer driven by British barrister Anthony McLean.
Yeah, we could have done with a roof. It's got old-fashioned tyres, wheels and brakes, so you have to go quite carefully. You can't charge into corners. It's very slippery the first 3 days.
In the hands of the legendary Juan Manuel Fangio, the D24 won the grueling 1953 Carrera Pan America race. The following year, the car won the Mille Miglia and the Targa Florio. This car and the Porsche Spider epitomised the spirit of Targa Tasmania. The cruise through the Midlands was a delight. Those in the open-top cars could at last enjoy the fresh air after putting up with torrential rain for 2 days and a collection of obs.
Well, you've been watching all those shiny motors sliding into clay banks. Here's another one. Tony Hawker, whose fault was it?
Well, the navigator, I can only assume, was playing me.
Colin, whose fault was it?
It was definitely driver error.
Wednesday we barrel rolled the car up at Latrobe, rolled it into a ball of scrap, and people told us this car would never run again. It was a throwaway job. And we thought, well, maybe we can prove them wrong because we're not quitters.
So you've got back into the race?
That's right. We towed the car back home to Hobart on Wednesday night, and we've worked non-stop since then, round the clock. People just come out of the woodwork.
Do you think you'll make it then to the finish?
Oh, for sure, Neil. We'll be there, even if we have to rebuild the car again.
Pavarotti. O sole mio, o mi canto. That's quite enough.
Targa Tasmania can have a dreadful effect on normally sane people, and this has been one of them.
After all, navigators toughen a dozen, so yeah, not a problem to find another navigator.
You can pick them up anywhere?
Oh, yeah, look, every
What about drivers, Colin? Are they...
They're a race apart. I wish they would.
That's not bad off the top of a bald head, was it? I was going to say it was off the top of your head, but so's your hair. Rob, how are you finding it?
Well, good, Neil. I'm enjoying it so far. It's my first event, but I think I'm managing it okay. I'm doing a lot better than last year's navigator, who's still in the car, unfortunately. He didn't do too well, and so he's still sitting there.
Can you afford it to do this?
No, I can't, Neil. I'm afraid, as of now, I'm temporarily retired from motor racing. I'm skinned. Not a cent in my name, mate.
But you're going to get there?
Oh, we'll get there.
The event cruised into the historic Midlands village of Ross. The township waited in anticipation of holding its first Targa stage. The picturesque scenery was perhaps a distraction. Bendigo's Gary and Mark Turney stole the show, having a sponsor's banner on the move. They carried the BP message for most of the course. Ross was a new stage for this year, a tight twisting 3-kilometre weave through the streets. Each year, a particular car becomes known as the crowd pleaser. And in 1996, it was the Triumph TR7 V8 of New Zealand's Mark Parsons and Jane Buckman. They liked it sideways. Day 4 was frustrating for Bates, Taylor and Toyota. Electrical problems which made the engine stall continued. They ran out of spare time to make repairs and their event was over after lunch. Jim Richards and Barry Oliver consolidated their lead, enjoying the drier conditions. Guy Beddington and Patrick Mewing maintained their excellent performance, finishing day 4 only 2 minutes and 40 seconds behind the leaders. A mere 5 seconds away in third place, Ray Lintott and Fred DeSantis. Glenn Ridge and Bob Edwards were fourth. Just 57 seconds separated the next 6 competitors. 3 all-Tasmanian teams proved highly competitive. Lynn Rattray and Tony Jackson, Vaughan Guthrie and Stephen Mills, and the Coppers, Farrell White and Nick Watchorn, maintained their consistent performances to be in the top 10. With the absence of rain, Jochen Maas and Jeff Hutchinson knuckled down and consolidated their lead for outright honours on handicap.
You're leading on handicap at the moment, so you must be delighted with that.
Of course we're happy with it. The car runs faultlessly so far.
The afternoon took the field deep into the northwest coast, rolling hills that wind their way to the top of Mount Claude along the Sathana Road. But day 4 unfolded a freak accident on the last Targa stage, Rihanna. Simon Geraghty's 27-year-old rookie navigator Ian Johnston died instantly when their 1992 Mazda MX-5 slammed into a power pole 19 kilometres into the 38-kilometre Rihanna Targa stage. Event leader Jim Richards mixed Targa Tasmania with his NASCAR commitments, flying to Melbourne after day 4 and clinching victory in the championship by winning at the Calder Raceway and then jetting back at daybreak for day 5. The final day is the hardest. The Targa stages are the longest of the event, with Mount Arrowsmith just under 53 kilometres in length. After coming so far, day 5 can make or break a competitor's aspirations. It was an early start for competitors. Day 5, the Western Enduro, from Burnie to Hobart via Queenstown. The first stage, Hellier Gorge. The Targa stages include the 99 bends out of Queenstown. While Jim Richards had victory in sight. After coming so far, most still running don't want to throw away their chance of finishing. It could cost them a trophy. 5 days and 2,000 kilometres later, 202 cars out of the 246 which started made it to the finish at the Rest Point Casino in Hobart. Targa Tasmania, described as one of the world's finest motoring challenges, had been conquered by many.
Provisional overall winner, car number 955, the Porsche 911 Turbo, driver Jim Richards, navigator Barry Oliver.
The best in 1996 were Jim Richards and Barry Oliver. They had turned the tables on Bates and Taylor.
Jim Richards and Barry Oliver, well done, Lord Mayor, well done.
Former Australian touring car driver Ray Lintott and experienced rally navigator Fred Casentas claimed second. Guy Beddington and Patrick Mewing third, only 20 seconds behind. Richards' victory was by 3 minutes and 36 seconds. Glenn Ridge and Bob Edwards had proved to be a formidable Targa Tasmania combination, finishing fourth, while Peter Fitzgerald had turned in the fastest times of the final day, and his performance lifted him back into the top 10 and up to 5th place, just ahead of Tasmanians Lynn Rattray and Tony Jackson. The policeman finished 7th and the Japanese 8th. Jochen Maas and Jeff Hutchinson held on to win on handicap, a testament to the speed and reliability of the 36-year-old Porsche Spider and the skills of its celebrated driver. Tasmanians Robert White and Angus McLeod in the 1965 Sunbeam Tiger finished second, 2 minutes and 26 seconds behind. The top 5 on handicap was made up of 5 different types of cars, with the formula appearing to achieve its aim.
Great honour for this car to have been chosen to be the first car around the course in Targa Tasmania will be carefully
Those who completed the course can be proud, and how about Greg Henry and that silver Holden Tirana? They loomed out of the darkness just as proud and happy as any winner.
Targa Tasmania's over for another year and the psychologists have made a fortune. And the panel beaters are set to make a fortune, but Rump Oliver Bailey and She Who Must Be Obeyed made it to Hobart. And so did the Ferrari Dino that Glenn Code didn't want to drive. And all around us, everyone's got a story to tell. You began Targa Tasmania as 2 of the brightest young faces on television. How have you finished?
Oh, I feel even brighter.
What about you, Glenn?
I feel a bit older and bedraggled, actually. Don't I look it?
Australia's famous European cyclist, Bill Anderson.
So how'd you finish up?
I think we've actually won our category, which is, you know, pretty happy with that.
But I hear you were a bit lucky to get here.
A bit lucky, yeah. We slipped under a fence there amongst some horses in the last 500 metres of the last Targa, actually.
And whose fault was it?
Oh, I overshot a corner.
Oh, mine.
You call it right in the bay.
And your car sounded pretty crook.
It doesn't sound very good at all, but we'll certainly know where to go to get it fixed, how to find the right place.
How will you do that?
Well, we'll just let our fingers do the walking.
Oh, should have known. And still no shopping trolley?
No shopping trolley. We don't do that sort of thing. We're different sort of Volvo drivers than what you know.
So you'll be giving it the stick to the men tonight?
Absolutely.
Well, it's the morning after, and the car park here at Rest Point looks like a yard for pre-loved motors. Passionately pre-loved motors. And the crews, well, they're already planning Targa 97. Eric Banner was saying last night that he's getting the mag wheels, the spats and the dice so that his car looks authentic as a real hoon wagon. Phil Anderson's going out to buy some disc wheels. The ladies in the Volvo, they're already down the supermarket shopping. And Glen Ridge reckons this looks like the sale yard of the century. And one car you will pick up cheaply is that XU1 driven by Greg Henry. Not only did he crash twice, but his crew rebuilt it twice in 4 days, mostly using gaffer tape. And that is a car that really does need a new owner. It's been one hell of an adventure. Steve Titmus.
Yes, it has, Neil. We've had a combination of torrential rain, slippery roads, sunshine, triumph and tragedy. But for the crews of the 202 cars that finished the event, they know that they've completed one of the world's great motoring challenges.